on the side. Okay, I got to warm up for us, something a little different. There is a prayer, it's actually used Friday evening, but also some communities in the morning, right after the Amidah, called Bakoach. And it's become very popular in Israel now among religious and
Rabbi.
Yeah, Joe.
Yes.
Yeah, good to see you. Hi, Joe, how was your conference? You had a Zoom conference this week.
Very good.
Yeah.
Two of them.
Two of them. Very good.
So very good. But I like to make an announcement today. Yesterday was 75 years when I went on a dead march, and then I was taken into a forest, and we stayed in the forest overnight, and the guards disappeared. And today, this morning, the German police came in, and they took us into that village, and they disappeared.
Yeah.
And around noon, I was liberated. It was 75 years ago today.
Oh, wow.
Wonderful.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Well, that's something special.
75 years today.
Yesterday. My God. 75 years. Okay.
Congratulations, Joe.
Thank you. Thank you.
And no one ever goes through
that.
that.
Thank God we're here today, and you can get it again for the Saturday service.
Amen. So I wanted to give us a little warm up here, Joe. Thank you so much for that. Made our day. Bakoach.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
It is a petition to God to end the dispersion of the Jews, the exile of the Jews, and bring us all back. But buried into it are what it seems to be mystical codes for the names of God. And so it's associated with a mystic going back to the 2nd century. It's probably later than that. Bakoach Gedolati Mincha has become very, very popular. So I just put the words up on the screen for you. You can see it, and then I'm going to take them down and just play the melody for you, which is right here.
הגענו לסוכות, ובסוכות אנחנו מקבלים את האור מהבריאה. כל מה שבעצם מזין כאן את כל הקיום הזה שלנו. זה זמן מיוחד לבקש, ממש לספוג את זה לתוך הגוף שלנו. אני רוצה שתיקחו כמה
It goes on for some time, but you can see it's a kind of a mantra. They're all in a yoga posture. And very positive, very popular, as I say, classical, mystical, Kabbalistic chant adapted in modern Israel for the New Age. And now, for a more traditional opening for us with Ma2, I have this rendition, a little more formal. This is the version.
Ma2
Okay, so that was two different kinds of mood openers for us for this Shabbat. I open up our Siddur, and as I mentioned, those who came in earlier, Cantor Boudaie is with us. Cantor Boudaie has helped us out on our holidays quite a number of years, and we appreciate his help and assistance. My outline just disappeared. I'm going to shrink it down. And Cantor, would you lead us with Shochen Ad, please?
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Thank you for having me. The pleasure.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Cantor. Thank you.
Shochen Ad marom vekadosh shemo vechatuv ranenu tzadikim Adonai leisharim navat tehila nefi yeshavim titalal ודברי צדיקים תתברך, ובלשון חסידים תתרומם, ובקרב קדושים תתקדש, ובמקהות רבבות עמך בית ישראל.
So remind us on page 336 in the Siddur Sim Shalom, 105 in the Shabbat version. And we're going to go down to the ending of the opening verses of the introduction. As we wrap up the introduction to the Shabbat service, Yishabach, 6038 and 105.
משתבח שמך לעד מלכנו, ברכות והודאות מעתה ועד עולם ברוך אתה אדוני אל מלך גדול בתשבחות, אל ההודעות אדון הנפלאות, הפוחד בשירי זמרה, מלך מלכי העולמים.
And we're going to continue with our virtual minyan with the Baruch Hu, continuing on the following page. It's all journeying together.
ברכות אדוני המבורך.
We respond, Baruch Adonai Baruch, Olam Bahed.
לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, יוצר אור ובורא חושך, עושה שלום ובורא את הכל.
And we continue on to El Adon, and I have this kind of with new variations on the same melody, on the same prayer, El Adon, over here. This one, a fellow who's a popular singer and also a DJ. Of course, it's a North African format. כל הנשמה, גודלו וטובו מה לעולם,
קודש ונהדר בכבוד על המרכבה זה חוט ומישור לפני חיסור חסד ורחמים מלא כבודו טובים מאורות שברם אלוהינו יצרם בדעת בבינה ובהשכל כוח וגבור נתן בהם להיות מושלים בקרב תבל מלאים זיו ומפיקים נורא נאה זיוון בכל העולם שמחים בצאתם ששים בבואם עושים באימה רצון קוניהם ורחמים מלא כבודו פר וכבוד נותנים לשמו צהלה ורינה לזכר מלכותו קרא לשמש ויזרחו ראה והתקין צורת הלבנה שבח נותנים לו כל צבע מרום ורחמים מלא כבודו אל אדון על כל המעשים ברוך ומבורך בפי כל הנשמה גודלו וטובו מלא עולם דעת ותבונה סובב עם הודו.
Okay. And there's a commercial for the DJ. If you want to have a party in Tel Aviv, you have the phone number. Okay. So we're going to get ready now. Move on with our service. We have the vision of the angels in heaven giving the praise to God. Olam מקבלים עליהם על מלכות שמיים זה מזה, ונותנים רשות זה לזה, להקדיש לעצמם. And we can answer on page 344 or 110. We'll answer Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzivaot, Haaretz Kevodo. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole world, the whole universe is filled with the divine glory. And we all reply together, Baruch Adonai Mimeko, blessed is the Lord's divine presence within his place, the place of the Lord, the entire universe. And then we have we wrap up the first part, the blessing over the lights. Baruch atah yotzeh hameorot. Blessed are you, O Lord, who has created the lights. And we move into the theme of love. The first one is the sense that we have felt God's love in having the gift of Torah. The second will be the love that we are to give to God in return in the Shema. So we chant this. Cantor, will you lead us in chanting this? All chant together on this, even if it's off key and off tune, it's okay. Let's join in. Ava Rabbah together. Page, let me just give you a page, 344 and 110 if you have the Sim Shalom.
111.
Ava Rabbah.
Rabba ahavta Adonai Eloheinu Lemra Yudonam Itera Amalka Aleinu Avinu Malkeinu Avor Avoteinu Shabbat Keyloheynu Ken Keyloheynu Avinu Avraham HaMerachem Rahem Aleinu Ben Beliveinu Shmoach ללמד לשמור ולקיים את כל דברי תלמוד תורת אביה והערנו נשמתנו
Thank you. Cantor, I just want to see if everybody's hearing his microphone well.
Hi.
Are you?
Carmen's dining room table.
What's that?
Huh?
What is that?
There you are.
Yeah, you find
Your
Barbara.
dining room
Yeah,
sitting
Barbara's
at the
with
dining
us
room
now.
table.
Barbara D. No, I just want to see if everybody's hearing the Cantor well. If it's coming
no
across.
problem.
Huh?
I hear him.
No, it's
Yes.
very
Yeah.
low.
I hear him.
So
Yes, he's
Cantor, see
low.
if you can
Now
raise
he's
the
low.
volume on
He's
your
louder than us.
if you can raise the volume on your recording mic.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's very nice, and I want to make sure everybody's following along. Now, I always look for something new, and I stumbled across something. I was looking for a different melody for Shema, and I stumbled across this, which is how the Shema is recited among the Samaritans. And I said, it's interesting because we hear how it may have sounded, we can't say how far back, but in the northern part of Israel, with the pronunciation, possibly close to the original northern Israelite pronunciation for the Hebrew. Very interesting. Some of the rhythm and pacing similar to Yemenite, with key differences. Their ayin is like the aleph, which is how we do it among Ashkenazi Jews. And so when they say God's name, like we do, they don't say the Yud Hey Vav Hey. So they're not studying it. They will say Hashem, like we do, except they do it the Aramaic, so it becomes Shema. Shema. But the problem is, as you listen to it, the ayin and the aleph are the same sound. So Shema Yisrael sounds the same as Shema Eloheinu. So some other differences, if you're attuned to it, you might pick it up. Kuf is softer and so on, but otherwise some of it is similar. So let's listen to this. This is one of the Kohanim among the Samaritans.
Israel, Shema. What the meaning Shema? No.
Here.
No. Shema Israel here. Shema Israel. Shema Adonai, the name. Hashem. Shema. Yod Hey Vav Hey. Shema. Hashem. Shema Israel. Shema Elohim Shemad. وابطاء شيما إلوك أفكن لبابك وافكن نفسك وافكن مئودك ويوذي بارما إلا إشار أمك ينسابك أيما لبابك شنن دماء البارك ودبرتا بما أفشبتك ببت أبلكتك بديرك بشكابك وقومك وقاشر دماء لوت على يدك واي وانت تافض بدينك وكاتب دماء المازوزot بدك وبشارك. You understand for me?
Okay. So as I say, somebody familiar with the Yemenite pronunciation can see a similarity. The rhythm is similar, but some of the consonants are different, pronounced differently. You can see that. Also, instead of like ha, it's ah, which we find in some variations in the Bible texts as we have it. What's now masculine is what is in there is what is today feminine. So now we're going to do it on our own, the way that we know it. And let's join in. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. And together we chant V'ahavta et Adonaicha b'chol levavecha ub'chol nafshecha ub'chol meodecha v'hayu advarim ha'ed asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinamtam lefanecha b'divat rabam v'shivtecha b'beitecha v'lecha b'derech shalpecha u'kumecha u'kshatam le'od al yedecha v'yutotafot bein inecha u'ktabtam amazon meitecha v'yisharecha. And I'm going to scroll down slowly as we chant for ourselves. I'm Shemot. And we chant together the last paragraph as we take the tzitzit in hand. Vayomer Adonai Moshe lemor, daber el bnei Yisrael v'mata lehem, zalhem tzitzit. Akanfei b'gnehem ledorotam, b'nat tzitzit, akana petit techelet, ve'alachem letzitzit, puritem otos, chatem ekol mitzvot Adonai, ועשיתם אותם בלא תטור אחרי לכם ואחרי לכם אשר אתם זונים אחריהם למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי ייתם קדושים לליכם אני אדוני לכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני לכם אחד. And then we continue through the expression of thanks for the liberation, the Emet v'Yatziv. This is true, and we accept that we give praise to God for having delivered us from the bondage of Egypt, brought us to freedom, and we chant the ending, which goes over here, and here, and here. And we continue over on the page 350 in Sim Shalom, 114 in the Shabbat version. Tilod le'elayon. Cantor, would you lead us? It goes right. Lead us into the Mikamoch and the Amida, please.
Tehilot le'elayon, Baruch u'meborach, Moshe u'bnei Yisrael, lecha anu shira, v'simcha rabba v'yamru chulam. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha Norbert Torah Shira יחד כולם הודו והמליכו ויאמרו אדוני אלוהינו
And now we're going to go into the Amida. We're going to, those of you who want to stand, I'm going to stay seated just so I can see what's happening and manage the pages. So we're going to continue. 355. I want to make sure I got the right page. 3. It's 115 in Sim Shalom and 350 in the weekday version, 115 in the Shabbat version. So Cantor, take it from here.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avoteinu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol, HaGibor VeHaNorah, העליון, גומר חסדים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי יעקב, ומביא גואל, לפני בניכם, למען שמו, מלך עוזר,
Moshiach.
Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Ufoket Sarah.
Go ahead.
אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי מתים, הרב יחושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם. מחלקי חיים,
חולים
ומכיר השירים ומקיים
And now, continue with the Kedusha, page 356 and 116. Go ahead, Cantor.
מקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, כך כתוב על יד נביאיך, וקראת אל ואמר, קדוש קדוש, אדוני בכל הארץ. אז בכל רעש גדול, אדיר וחזק משמיעים קול, מתנצלים לעומתם ברוך יומנו, ברוך יבוא מקומך מלכנו תופיע, את תמלוך על חיינו, כי מחכים אנחנו לך. מתי נמלוך בציון, בקרוב בימינו, לעולם ועד תשכון. תתקדש בתוך ירושלים עירך, לדור ודור ולנצח נצחים, ועינינו בשירי עוזך על ידי דוד משיח צדקך, ימלוך לעולם אלוהים ציון לדור ודור. לדור ודור, לדור ודור, נגיד לך, ולנצח נצחים, ולנצח נצחים, נגיד. לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, נגיד לך, ולנצח נצחים, ולנצח נצחים, קדוש עבדך. Keyloheynu mipino lo yamos leolam vaed ki almanof gadol ki almanof gadol
And we're going to continue then silently. After that, through the Amida, I'm going to scroll up, do the Hebrew, do the English, and do your own meditations. We're going to use Olam, you beneficiary Olam, ish Shemi Matana Shemai Baretz, Uvayom Hashvi Shabbat Vayina Fash Yomein. Krishna Khan Padre Baza Yakum Bamba Khan Rishvit Narsin Havashir Silver Lakim Sparta Second Masashi Hainu Tainu Seven Hatainu Passion then something should be have it a heavy banner then I have a son Shabbat Kochecha always can make a Shema Baruch Atnaim Kadesh Shabbat then Shukot and Brachamim Baruch Atnaim position of Tzion Odim Anachnu And we'll continue Sim Shalom. It is on page 362 in Siddur Sim Shalom and 120 in the Shabbat version. Go ahead. Cantor, lead us, please.
Sim shalom tova ubracha va'olam sim shalom tova ubracha chen v'chesed Keyloheynu Avinu Lanu Keyecha
Sim shalom. Sim shalom.
Kireor panecha natata lanu Adonai Eloheinu תורת חיים ואהבת חסד וצדקה וברכה ורחמים וחיים ושלום. שים 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 שלום. שים שלום טובה וברכה. שים 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 שלום. טובה וברכה. וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בשלום ובכל שנה בשלומך ברוך אתה אדוני המברך את עמו ישראל בשלום.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you. Now, the section of study, we've been dealing with Pirke Avoth. We're introduced to two colleagues who take over from Antigonus. From this point on, all the rabbis come in pairs, and they represent opposing schools of thought. We never have one opinion. We always have two opinions. You know, he asked you for his opinion, you get three opinions. And it's institutionalized in this. So the one just before has said that we should open our houses to the scholars, that our houses should be the gathering place for the scholars. We should drink in their words with thirst. His colleague, Rabbi Yossi ben Yochanan, Ish Yerushalayim, and I'm only going to deal with the first part because the second part is very complicated, right? I'm going to deal with its first part. Said, Yehi beitcha patuch l'revacha. May your house be wide open, l'revacha, wide open, with generosity. V'yu aniyim b'nei beitecha. Let the poor people be the children of your household. Wait, in the first one he says, let the scholars be in your household and you drink in their words. This one says, no, that's not what I want. I want the poor to drink in your money, your wealth, your food, your prosperity. That's a very different position. Wait. Aren't we interested in the scholars, in the wisdom, in the learning, in the truth? Then we should open our houses to that. No, aren't we interested in doing that which is righteous, that which is Tov Yashar Beinecha, that which is good and honest in your heart? Isn't that the right thing, right? Two positions. How can I support the wisdom, the pursuit of wisdom? How can I support the needs of the poor? How can I pay the money for both? Right? So I have to balance.
We did in my household as a child. We had amateur scholars.
What?
We had unemployed amateur scholars were welcome in our house at all times. We had a huge table, and my parents welcomed these people in, and they were the philosophy. And these are the poor unemployed scholars who taught me Pirke Avoth.
Oh, so you got both of them at one shot.
Yes, a big dining room table that we talk all day.
That's a good solution. So if you want me to take care of you, have them, so I want you. That's a scholar.
Feed the scholars.
Right. That's a good solution, right? What I said, we always weigh two obligations. We weigh two positions. We try to negotiate between them to try to get the best out of it.
Yeah, but it seems, Rabbi, the only poor that we're talking about here are men.
Oh, wait a minute. That's the
household it wasn't.
Also,
I know. I didn't want to go into that because that's going to be next week. That's a whole ball game by itself. Because think about it. Guess who's feeding?
Women.
Women.
In the kitchen cooking, doing all of this, and they're sitting there eating. But I mean, how do you not, whether it be intellectually or spiritually or just by literally feeding food, feed one half of your population?
So,
or more.
For the scholars and for the poor, who's in the kitchen? So the rabbis say, who is really more righteous, the men or the women? And the rabbi said the women are more righteous The man
That's right.
talks about
You
doing
can say it
things.
once more.
The woman has her hand in the pot.
The rabbi can say that all they want. I'm looking at their words.
That's
Okay?
right.
Listen,
They can make this up as much as they want later on.
if you want to see
my dad was
happens,
5'6" and my mother was 6 feet tall. She was a dominant feature in the house, and she controlled the household. And
my grandmother controlled the house. That's the point.
Not always.
The point is, I come from a very matrilineal society.
Yeah.
What I say here is, I am looking at what has been taught and what is being taught and what carries down through the ages. And that is not what it says here.
That's it. So next week, notice that's the second part of his statement.
The women didn't control the books.
The controversy here.
Actually, that's not true.
No, my mother did.
I will tell you this is
control the books.
Yeah. The follow-up to this will be next week. This is going to take too long. That's why I only want to do the first part. And what the response to the second part is. So we'll go into that because it is a very interesting argument that goes out after this one, after this discussion. But let me tell you this. I pity the kids, I do, who depend on the father entirely. That I would say. I say that from experience. Okay. Let's get to the college.
My father said, listen to me, your mother's the boss.
Okay. Let's go ahead then.
She's right. If she's wrong, she's right. No matter what.
That's only said by that's what's said by a happily married man. Okay, so those reciting the morning's Kaddish. There's the Kaddish the Rabbanan in front of us. Join with us. Yitkadal, Yitkadash Shemei Rabba, B'Alma Dirach Yirutei, B'Yonif Malchutei. בחייכון וימיכון וחיי דכל בית ישראל בעגלה בזמן קריב אמן יהי שמי רבו מבורך לעולם יבורך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרמה ויתנשא יתהדר ויתעלה ויתחלל שמי דקות ג'ברי לכל פיר חטא ושמחתה קדוש בחטא ונחמתה דם יום ביומה ואמרו אמן על ישראל ועל רבנן ועל תלמידי הון כל תלמידי הון וכל מאן דעוסקים באורייתא דיב עתה הדעים ודיב בכל אתר ואתר היי להון ולכון שלמה רבה חינא וחיסא רחמין חיין אריכין זון אביכה וכאן מכאן עמוד נשמע רבים ואמן יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו והכויסא רבים ואמן עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו והכויסא רבים Amen.
Amen.
He makes peace in the heavens above, grant peace and thoughts into all Israel. And let's all say Amen.
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 And now we come to the service for the taking out of our virtual Torah. And
I got the little
Joe, Alexander, in honor of your 75th birthday, I have a Sefer Torah for you. So I don't really give you an aliyah, but the first aliyah will be dedicated to you in honor of your liberation, 75th year to liberation. So let's go ahead to En Kamocha in the Siddur in front of us, and on the Sim Shalom, I'll just get the page 394 and 139. Let's take it. Come, Cantor, go ahead.
אין כמוך באלוהים אדוני ואין כמעשיך מלכותך מלכות עולמים וממשלתך
בכל דור ודור
דור ודור
אדוני מלך Adonai yimloch le'olam oed
Adonai oz le'amo yitem Adonai yevorech et amo b'shalom
ברחמים
לעתים
בביטחון את ציון עמוד ירושלים תבנך ירושלים איבך לבד בטחנו מלך אלרם וניצח אדון עולמים
ויהי בנסוע
לירון משה קומו אדוני
אויביך וינוסו משנאיך
כי מציון תצא
תורה
כי מציון
תורה מוי
My mother was proud of serving peasant food. She had pot roast and borscht, and my brother and I didn't like borscht. So my mother said it's good peasant food, and everybody ate.
Okay. People ate in your house.
Borscht
That's the mitzvah.
with potatoes and sour cream. My brother and I didn't like it.
Let's go ahead. I'm going to open our figurative ark, take out the Torah scroll, and continue with the Shema. Cantor, and then we'll follow in. One and one. Go ahead, Cantor.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai
Now together. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Echad
Keyloheynu
Adon Shema
And together. Echad Eloheinu Gadol Adonai Gadol Shemo.
Gadol Adonai Rommema Shemo Yachdav.
And we're going to march around in our chairs. Lecha
Adonai
Ki choshen u'aretz shamayim u'aretz lecha Adonai amachar tamid na'aseh Adonai Eloheinu Ve'ishtachavu Adon Kadoshu Romemu
Adonai Eloheinu
Ve'ishtachavu Thank you. Thank you. And now we come to our Torah reading for today. I'm going to enlarge this part of our screen.
I didn't say hi to your shoulder, Carmen, before. I didn't see you there. I recognize your living room, your dining room.
All right. We are.
That's Barbara's.
Okay.
Oh, you're at Barbara's?
Okay. We are now in a combined or joint portion, Acharei and Kedoshim. In Israeli parlance, there's actually a joke that says, sort of a bitter joke. Acharei is after the death, right? It's talking about the after the death of the sons of Aaron. That's the opening line. Then Kedoshim is the portion of holiness. Then after this comes Emor, which is say. So if you read it as one sentence, Acharei Kedoshim Emor. After somebody is dead, say that he is righteous. Right? What do we talk about somebody when they're alive? We may say all sorts of things. They're no longer among us. Oh, he was a great man. Right? That's it's a kind of a cynical modern reading of this. But what happens in Acharei? Acharei talks about the death of the two sons of Aaron. Reminds us that only a few chapters before they died suddenly. And so we want to avoid what happened to them, walking to the sanctuary in a condition of purity so that we don't get struck down by lightning. And then it goes on into how do we attain this purity? Well, we need this special day to purify the sanctuary, purify the Kohanim, purify the priests, and purify the people of Israel, which we later come to know as Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. And so this is where we get the source information for us about Yom Kippur. We have in it the account of two goats set aside. Familiar with this, and we're going to talk a little bit more later on. One is sacrificed there, one is sent into the wilderness, Seir LaAzazel. All right? So in modern Hebrew, if you want to tell somebody to get lost, you say Lech LaAzazel. It's a more figurative expression than what we might use in English.
Go to the devil.
Yeah. So,
Rabbi, what page are we on?
So I'm not using the page. It's chapter 16 of Vayikra, chapter 16, and then we're going to be starting with sentence 29. Going to be reading a part of it, and then it goes on, because it's a combined reading, it goes into Kedoshim, so that while Acharei talks primarily about the technical aspect of what one does on the Day of Atonement, Kedoshim, right after it, says how to create a sacred nation. Because it's very opening words, very dramatic, says, or is it going to line 19? 19. I'm going to skip. Line 19, it says, that talk to the entire children of Israel. Now I'm moving away from the priests. Up to now I was talking to the priests. And I'm telling the children of Israel, this is what the priests have to do. Now to you, to the people. Kedoshim to you. You are the holy ones. Wait a minute. Priests have their job. They're not more sacred, though, than you, the people. Very important stance.
As a matter of fact, they make a nice living.
Yeah. Kohanim, they get $5 if they get a firstborn male. That's about it. Not what it used to be. All right? Kedoshim to you, ki kadosh. You, the people, are holy because you belong to God, and God is holy. And this holiness has to do with how one behaves. And of course, there are religious rulings in here about what is permitted, what is not. No idol worship, no enactment of actions that are characteristics of the pagans. Rules of sexual purity, because that is part of the sense of creating a sense of sanctity in the person's behavior. But heavily on what we know are moral rulings, like revere your father and mother. And it says here, mother before the father, by the way, in the sense of revere, right? And keep Shabbat. The two go hand in hand. Notice in the Ten Commandments, Shabbat and the honoring of the parents also go hand in hand. Harvesting, leaving the corners of the field for the poor, right? And again, over and again, I am the Lord your God. These are, you want to be religious, this is essential to achieve that sense of religiosity. Lo tignovu, do not steal, do not deny, do not swear falsely. We're going to get into that. Let me get that off.
Rabbi, may I ask a question?
Yes, go ahead.
Go back to the very first thing you said, is that when the person passes, that we're to speak, not to speak ill of them. But what if the person is truly, truly evil? I mean, how do you whitewash that person?
Okay.
I'll
tell you a real story, and then we'll go on. I'll tell you a real story. Because a Jewish policy is that when somebody is being buried, you have to say something good about the person. The word hesped. Find something good, because even the worst person had done something decent. I had a funeral once where the son was the only one who showed up to the funeral, said, there's absolutely nothing good I can tell you about my father. Okay.
Wow.
But if he can't tell me anything, I have to invent something out of thin air. Well, it was a little bit difficult to do, right? But generally, even of difficult people, we can find something good. So the story is this. One of my teachers in rabbinical school says, 1920s, 30s, still during the Prohibition. And he's a young rabbi, his first congregation, and the first funeral is the big beer smuggler of the Prohibition. He's a criminal. He calls his teacher, and his rabbinic says, what do I do at the funeral? What can I say? He says, fine, maybe he did something good. There must be something good he did. Talk to that, because the family is sitting there crying. They're hurt as it is. Don't rub it in. Say something good. Find something good. Okay. So he finds out that, yeah, the guy was a big criminal. He was one of the big beer smugglers of Pennsylvania during the Prohibition, but he supported widows and orphans. He really did. He went, he took money, he fed them, he housed them, clothed them. Okay. So the rabbi gets up, he says, I gave my eulogy, says, I want you to know, we know about his background, I won't go into it. I want you to know, though, that he did this and he did this. The next day, the newspapers in the town, I think it was Eastern Pennsylvania, it was one of the cities in Eastern Pennsylvania, newspaper headlines, Rabbi says beer king was righteous person. Headlines. Right? So he said, and he said it in context to us, very interestingly, because he said, you know, at the same time, you remember the movie Funny Girl? Fanny Bryce. She falls in love with Nick Arnstein. He's a well-known criminal. So he said what happened when Arnstein died, the rabbi gave the eulogy, and he talked about Arnstein as a criminal. And it was a scandal. He said, why? Because the family, the widow's there, the family is there, and the rabbi's letting into all the things that he did wrong. And he says, and that was the example of what not to do at a funeral. All right? That's it. Somebody's dead.
I understand that, Rabbi. Like the Bear King, you know, I'm sorry, being a spousal abuser and a Bear King, big difference. Being a Hitler and a Bear King, big difference.
Okay.
Being a Paul Pot and a Bear King, being a Paul Pot and a Bear King.
No rabbi's going to give a eulogy for Hitler.
I know. Being a Paul Pot, but they're spousal abusers.
Yeah.
They're spousal abusers. Being a Paul Pot.
They're child molesters.
There are so many things.
That's right.
That we cannot whitewash. We cannot pretend that they didn't, you know.
That's right.
Yeah. So the question is, at the eulogy with the family there, is that when you start to talk about he beat up his wife? Or do you talk about what can I do and what can I say to take the pain away? That's what I have at the eulogy. Later on, I can write whatever I want.
May he rest in peace.
Yeah.
That's all,
That's all.
That's all.
Just
So
say it, that's it.
Let me go ahead.
The less you say, the better we go.
We got derailed, but that's a good discussion. It's a good discussion.
All the rabbi said.
Right. That's a good discussion. So some other things in here. Fair weight, honest weights, right? All and repeating, I'm the Lord, I'm the Lord. right? And not passing one's sons to Moloch, right? Things to separate us from idol worship. Tying in with insulting one's father and mother is like idol worship, right? Tying it in. Sexual regulations, sexual purification, right? All of these. So we have a broad range. Like I said, the first one is this technical ritual. The second one is this broad spiritual and moral reading. So now, why do we have both of them? That's what I'm going to talk about later on. Okay, if I'm not derailed by too many conversations. All right, let's go back. Going to go back. Going to go to that one section. Joe, you're going to read for us.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to read part of the book. Joe Senior. In honor of your day, we're not going to say Baruch Hu, but we're going to do at least the blessing, which is also said in the morning, just for reading and studying Torah, which is part of the blessing for the Torah, the blessing. So I have it on the screen. I don't know if you can see it on the screen with you, but I'll recite it. That's it. So just start from here. Baruch Atah.
Okay. Baruch Atah, Adon Eloheinu melech Olam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu es Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Amen. And now, Joe the younger, you're going to recite this for us.
Okay. והייתה לכם לחוקת עולם בחודש השביעי, בעשור לחודש תענו את נפשותיכם בכל מלאכה לא תעשו האזרח והגר הגר בתוככם, כי ביום הזה יכפר לכם לטהר אתכם מכל חטאיכם לפני אדוני תטהרו. שבת שבתון היא לכם והנתם את נפשותיכם חוקת עולם, וכיפר הכהן אשר ימשך אותו ואשר ימלא את ידו לכהן תחת אביו ולבש את בגדי הבד בגדי הקודש וכיפר את מקדש הקודש ואת אוהל מועד ואת המזבח יכפר על הכהנים ועל כל העם הקהל יכפר. והייתה זאת לכם לחוקת עולם, לכפר על בני ישראל, מכל חטאותם אחת בשנה, ויעש כאשר ציווה אדוני את משה.
Thank you very much. Sure. And now, I'm going to squeeze this aside. We'll continue with prayer for those who are ill. And I have my list. Give me a second. We pray today for all those who are ill, whether with the coronavirus or any other illness, whether here, there, everywhere. We add our specific thoughts to these dear ones: Esther Elisheva, Joe Alexander, Pinchas Belakoskovsky, Robert Drato, Miriam Leodorf, Roger Rosen, Vyasa Bengalina, Rachel Olaflalo, Moisey Kelchik, Jenny Drato, Mindy Levins-Pfeiffer, Michael Schinder, Jennifer Levins, Susan Tuchman, Roni Duran, Shirley Marco, Harriet Levins. Harriet just this week fell. She's doing okay now. I had her name in our thoughts. Fira Feinberg, Moisey Ben-Manya, Judy Alkali, Barbara Mormon, Richard Zeller, Esther Gerson, Ofra Bat Margalit Bat Leah, Aliva Bat Sarah, Hannah Bat Sarah, Eliyahu Ben Sarah, Shoshana Bat Sarah, Herb Mormon, Irina Hosefian, Alex Trebek, Hannah Sarah Leah Bat Rachel, Shimon Meir Ben Rachel, Hannah Sarah Bat Kela Alta, Alan Whalen, and Hai Arnesti. And for all of them will join in our thoughts and prayers and have the Mishaberach that we are used to singing. It is the Debbie Friedman version. Cantor, are you familiar with it? It's the Debbie Friedman Mishaberach. Are you familiar with it?
If you started, maybe I can remember it.
Okay, let's all join in then. We'll all join. Mishaberach Avoteinu Mikol habracha li'imoteinu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing. And let us say Amen. Mishaberach Imoteinu Mikol habracha li'imoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shalema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. HaKadosh Baruch Hu yishlach nem refuah shlema l'chol haguf v'l'kol evim toch sharachol yiseh v'kol amim. Amen. The Holy One, blessed be He, send healing both in body and in mind to them and to all who are ill, both in body and in mind, of the house of Israel and of all people. And let us all say, Amen.
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 Amen. And now, I want to get to the Haftarah. We're back to the regular readings. The Haftarah is taken from the prophet Amos. It's the last chapter of Amos. And since it's not a long chapter, the Haftarah itself is 15 verses. We're going to chant through the whole reading. Amos is letting the people have it, basically, all his anger, letting God's anger literally out on the people, wanting what would be like at the end of days, reminding them that children of Israel, like the children of Ethiopia, or the children of the Cretans, or the children of Arameans, all the nations of the world are walking through God's plans in history. And so you got to toe the line, is basically what he says. You toe the line, because at the end of days, I will bring you back when you straighten up, and the time is coming. V'shafti shvut ami. I restore my people, they will rebuild the ruined cities and inhabit them, plant vineyards and drink the wine, till the gardens and eat their fruits. Amos says this when the northern kingdom, who he's talking about, is at its peak. No one has seen or thought of any pending destruction. And he's telling them, this is what's going to happen, but you will be restored to the land. So, we read from Amos. Cantor, I invited you to go ahead and chant the Haftarah for us.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nviim tovim ורצה בדבריהם נאמרים באמת ברוך אתה אדוני הבוחר בתורה ומשה עבדו וישראל עמו ובנביאי האמת ראיתי את אדוני ניצב על המזבח ויאמר אך הכפתור וישבים ובשר ראש כולם אחריתם והרוג לא ינוס להם נס ולא ימלט להם פעלית.
One second.
משם ידים תיקחם ואם יעלו השמיים משם אורידם ואם יחבו בראש הכרמל משם אחפש ולקחתיהם ואם יסתו מנגד עיניי בקרקע הים משם, אצווה את הנחשם ונשכם, ואם ילכו אשכי לפני אויביהם משם, אצווה את החרב והרגתם, ושמתי עיני עליהם לרעה ולא לטובה, ואדוני אלוהים הצבאות הנוגע בארץ ותמוג, ויעבלו כל יושבי בה, וילתח האור כולה, ושגעה כי אור מצרים, הבונה בשמיים מעלותיו, ואגודתו על ארץ יסדה, הקורא למי הים. וישפכם על פני הארץ אדוני שמו, הלא כבני חשויים אתם לי בני ישראל, נאום אדוני הלא את ישראל. העליתי מארץ מצרים ופלישתים, מכפתו דברם מכיר, הנה עיני אדוני אלוהים בממלכה החטאה, והשמדתי אותה מעל פני האדמה. אפס כי לא אשמיד את בית יעקב, נאום אדוני, כי הנה אנוכי מצווה והמיותי בכל הגויים את בית ישראל, כאשר ינוע בקברה ולא ייפול צרור הארץ. בחרב ימותו כל חטאי עמי האומרים, לא תגיש ותקדים בעדנו הרע. ביום ההוא אקים את סוכת דוד הנופלת, וגדרתי את פרציהן, והרסותיו אקים, ובניתיה כימי עולם, למען ירושו את שארית אדום וכל גויים, אשר נקרא שמי עליהם, נאום אדוני עושה זאת. הנה ימים באים, נאום אדוני, וניגש חורש בקוצר, ודורך ענבים במושך הזרע, והטיפו ההרים עסיס, וכל הגבעות תתמוגגנה. ושבתי את שבות עם ישראל, ובנו עדים נשמות וישבו, ונטעו כרמים, ושתו את יינם, ועשו גנות, ואכלו את פריהם, ונטעתים על אדמתם, ולא ינטשו עוד מעל אדמתם, אשר נתתי להם, אמר אדוני אלוהיך. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, צור כל העולמים, צדיק בכל הדורות, האל הנאמן, האומר ויוצא, המדבר ומקיים, שכל דבריו אמת וצדק. נאמן, אתה הוא אדוני אלוהינו, ונאמנים דבריך, ודבר אחד מדבריך, אחור לא ישוב ריקם, כי אל מלך נאמן, ורחמן אתה, ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הנאמן בכל דבריו. רחם על ציון, כי היא בית חיינו, ולעלו עד נפש תושיע במהרה בימינו, ברוך אתה אדוני, נשמח ציון בבניה. שמחנו אדוני אלוהינו, באליהו הנביא עבדך, ומלכות בית דוד משיחך, במהרה יבוא ויגל ליבנו, על כיסו לא ישב זר, ולא ינחלו עוד אחרים את כבודו, כי בשם קדשך נשמעת לו, שלא יכבה נרו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני מגן דוד. על התורה ועל העבודה ועל הנביאים ועל יום השבת הזה שנתת לנו אדוני אלוהינו, לקדושה ולמנוחה, לכבוד ולתפארת. על הכל אדוני אלוהינו אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותך, יתברך שמך בפי כל חי תמיד לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
Amen. Yashikach. Yashikach. And now I want to continue with the prayer for the country. And so,
He's got three beautiful daughters.
Oh yeah.
Okay, we have the microphones on. Okay. And I can. Yeah, it's just a minute. Put it back in place. Hold on a second. Everybody's back on. Put you all back on. There you are. Okay. Okay. Make sure that's it. Okay, everybody's back on. Okay, whoever's on, if you want to keep your microphones off, it's fine. You can control them. I've been looking for different selections.
Can you make this full screen, please, Rabbi?
Yeah, I'm going to make it almost full screen. When I made it full screen, it just took over too much. Hold on. So I wanted to pull out different selections from famous documents in American history that speak to ourselves. And so this is from President Roosevelt's address to the Congress, just January 6, 1941. The United States had not yet entered into war with Japan, but the world was blowing up all around it. The United States was trying to give its support to the English and to the other forces fighting the Nazis. And he was trying to establish what are we looking for in this country. So I'm going to its fourth freedom. It talks about the key basic freedoms. It talks about the freedom from fear. And so I'm just going to read that. You may read along with me. The fourth is freedom from fear, which translated into world terms means a worldwide reduction of armaments to such a point, in such a thorough fashion that no nation will be in a position to commit an act of physical aggression against any neighbor anywhere in the world. That kind of world is the very antithesis of the so-called new order of tyranny, which the dictators seek to create with the crash of a bomb. To that new order, we oppose the greater conception, the moral order. A good society is able to face schemes of world domination and foreign revolutions alike without fear. Since the beginning of our history, we have been engaged in change, in a perpetual, peaceful revolution, a revolution which goes on steadily, quietly adjusting itself to changing conditions, without the concentration camp or the quicklime in the ditch. The world order which we seek is a cooperation of free countries working together in a free, friendly, civilized society. This nation's placed its destiny in the hands and hearts of its millions of free men and women, is faith in freedom under the guidance of God. Freedom means the supremacy of human rights everywhere. Our support goes to those who struggle to gain those rights or keep them. Our strength is our unity of purpose. To that high concept, there can be no end save victory. And so we know, of course, then that within a few months after that, less than a year after that, the United States had to go into actual warfare. There was no avoiding it. But this still remains the goal. We're fighting now a different war, a war against
Jim Crow was dominant in the United
spread
States.
of
There was no freedom for Black Americans.
Right? Our ability to engage in globalization, which is our strength, is also our weakness. And we face this quandary to create a nation which, in cooperation with other nations, is able to be open and yet control the spread of disease so civilization itself can continue. And we prayed for the state of Israel. We celebrated the 72nd birthday this year. I've got the prayer here. Cantor, do you have a melody for the prayer for the state of Israel?
The one that you guys usually sing, right?
Yeah.
So we can all sing together.
Okay, let me make this halfway. Go ahead, let's all join in.
I want to hear Joe a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, Joe, we'll join in.
Yes. Avinu
Sheba Shamayim,
Yisrael v'goalo,
Baruch et
Medinat
Medinat Yisrael, Reshit Tzmichat Geulatenu, Hagen Lecha, Berak Chasdecha, Ofros Aleha, Sukkot Shalom Lecha, Shlach Ocham Amitcha, Yosha Sarah B'yatzeha, Taknem Beitzah Tova Milfanecha. Strengthen the hands of those who defend our holy land. Avinu Sheba Shamayim, Du Yisrael V'Galo. Bless the hands, inhabitants with everlasting joy, and let us say, Amen. Amen. And now we're going to return the Torah to the ark virtually. Okay, we're going to return it to the ark as if the ark were right in front of us. Let me pull this up. Why you up? What happened to the screen there? Back to this. Where did it go? Where did it go? There we go. Oh, there we are.
Hi, Marcelo. You look great.
Thank you.
There we go. I'm trying to get this down and around. There we go. Okay.
You're still not screen sharing.
You don't see the screen? Okay.
No, you're not screen sharing.
Okay.
Go back to screen sharing.
Somewhere. This hit.
It should be on the bottom.
You see, it's over
yeah,
in the top
I got moved
over there.
around. Hold on.
Carmen,
my Zoom misbehaved.
Sorry?
What's for lunch, Carmen?
There we
What's
go.
for lunch?
Now we got it. Thank you. I was just trying
What
to
did you
launch
say?
this.
What's for
What's for
lunch?
virtual
Oh,
lunch?
what's for lunch?
Yeah.
Yes.
What do I look like? A cook?
You always know what's for lunch.
Yeah.
The food just magically comes out.
I'm telling you, isn't it so?
Okay, don't make us hungry. Let's try to return to the Torah, to the ark. Return to the Torah together. Yahalu, go, Cantor. Yahalu.
Hashem Adonai, Ki Nishka, Levado, Odu al Kol Haaretz.
וירם כהרם יעמו, תהילה לכל חסידיו, לבני ישראל על קרובו. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
And Psalm 29, Mizmor LeDavid. Oh, go ahead.
Manu Adonai ich
It's in your book. I'll tell you what page.
אל הכבוד ירים, אדוני על מעלה.
402.
No, wait.
וירקידן כמו רגל,
422.
כמו בן רמים, כל
I need the number of the page. Just tell me.
422.
כל אדוני יכול אל איילות, ויחשוף ירות, ובחלו כולו אומר כבוד, אדון אבון
And we continue with Eitz Chaim. He, as we take our virtual Torah, put it back into the ark. It's 426 in Sim Shalom, 54 in the Shabbat version. Go ahead. It's Chaim He. Go ahead. Now, when Simon, did Simon come on board? Simon Brill? No. Are you on? No, okay. He wanted to do something. I wanted to do prayer for the soldiers of Israel. Okay, maybe next time then. A little word of Torah for.
I was a soldier.
Yeah. No, I'll tell you why.
What do you mean? I was a soldier.
He was in the Six-Day War. Yeah, he was very much in the. He was very much physically injured.
No, something else.
Yeah, and I wanted him to chant that. I have another chance. I need the text for it. He had it. I want to go on here. I just pulled up a little text for you. Let's see if I can get the one page, two, single page, and then zoom in. Let's see if I can get this.
I can just imagine you tiny, you being a soldier.
There we go. Okay. Just very, I don't want to go into too much great depth, but I want to look at what looks like a contradiction that I talked about earlier between the purely technical service of Yom Kippur as it is described, and much hand in hand, the whole idea of Judaism as being very technical. You have to have this many strings on your tzitzit, and those has to be written just like this. Did you ever listen to the comic Elon Gold talk about why Jews don't have a Hanukkah bush? And he talks about, well, he goes into a spoof on, is it this height or this height? How many branches does the bush have to have? Do you light the branches from the right at the left, right? All this kind of very technical thinking. And then we have, which is characteristic of Jewish thinking. Then we have second section, the Kedoshim, which is much more grander. It has the famous line about love your neighbor as yourself, and which the rabbis themselves say is really the key to all the other commandments. And very much hand in hand with the early Christian church. They accept this idea. After foundation of Judaism. So we have the technical, we have the broad moralizing, we may say. So how do we reconcile the two? All right, so and especially in this one. So we presume today that what is described for us here is carrying over of very ancient practices that go back to the origins of antiquity. And what the Bible has done for us is say, we're going to keep these, and what are we going to do with them? So we have the goat, and we have the famous scapegoat. I pulled it up here. You can see the goat sent to Azazel. Now, does anybody guess what Azazel meant? It could be Azal, the goat that is sent away. The word Azal is the Aramaic word, actually, for going away, sending away. Could be one interpretation. Azaz, Azaz. Again, the word goat, and also the word power. So something power within the goat, the demonic. The word el at the end, meaning that which has tremendous power. So clearly a reference to something that was demonic. The goat is sent off to that which is the realm of the demon. Where? To the midbar. The word midbar comes from the word dever. Dever is the word for disease. The wilderness is a place of disease, dever. So the goat is sent off there. Later on in Jewish tradition, he's kicked off a cliff. Not much better than that. So, very ancient. We know the idea of impurities. We know the impurities happen. We know the pollution takes place. And in the ceremony, it is there to cleanse the pollution, whatever the cause is. So we also know, in going studies of sociology, anthropology, and so on, that rituals are very important for human beings to help resolve inner actions, anxieties, inner fears, right? We know that that is the human being. That is how people function. The problem that we have in antiquity, and the Torah is not trying to address it, is we have the sense that something is going wrong. We need something to pull us out. We no longer have control of our lives, and we need something magical like this to pull us out. Freud and Jung found the early myths of society to be great vehicles for explaining what goes on inside the human mind. So he has this, Freud uses the story of Oedipus, talk of the child who has this compulsion to desire the mother, needs to eliminate the father, replace the father to get to the mother. That's the foundation of, in Freud, all human anxiety. Where does he get it from? Right? The myth of Oedipus, you're familiar with it? Right? It is predicted, he is fated at birth that he will kill his father and marry his mother. Is it?
But he did not know she was his mother.
He does. He is fated to do that.
Right. He didn't know she was his mother.
He is obviously the opposite. He is the hero. He saves the city of thieves.
Yes.
His father is a villain. He kills the father as the hero, marries the mother. And therefore the city falls into plague.
That's
and
right.
He's blinded. In other words, he has done everything right.
Right.
And he is cursed for it.
It also says, Tzadik Tov V'Ra Lo.
Yeah, okay. So we don't know. So we feel the world is going against us. That's how the ancients felt. It's stacked against us. So what the Torah was trying to do, at least for the Kohanim, would say, in particular for sins that we don't know. And if you look at the list of the sacrifices before, in the opening chapters, Asham, Hatat, Shogeg, things that are done willingly and things that are done unwillingly. Things that overwhelm us. We don't know how we do these things. Somebody gets in a car, causes an accident, even though they've been paying good attention to the road and did all the right things, and somebody's hurt in that accident. That person comes out of it, bears a wound afterwards, right? So things sit on us, they overwhelm us, things that are out of our hand, right? That's one of the key foundations in psychotherapy, that there are things in our past that we cannot shake off. So the symbol of sending the demon into the wilderness is that symbolic attempt to shake off things that we cannot do. And that's his first step. That's the first step. So whereas in the pagan society, that act of sending off to the demon would have solved it, what Leviticus now has is two new elements, and we'll see what they are. They come right in after the story of the goat and the offerings. First element is that the cleansing is not from God, but it's from God and not from the goat. Because here we come into the ending of that part that we just read. It says, on this day atonement shall be made to you to cleanse you of all your sins. You shall be clean before the Lord. In other words, it is God that makes the cleaning, not the goat. It's not your magic action. All right? This is very important because Christianity also feeds into this. That we have a way of redeeming ourselves, uplifting ourselves. It comes from God. That all is not doomed. Right? If we don't have that hope, we might as well shut up shop. And then to achieve it, the goat's not the secret. The last line, it says, you shall have a complete Shabbat. Shabbat, Shabbaton. You shall make a complete Shabbat. And initem et nafshotechem. You shall, the translation, the English translation we had there was self-denial. You shall afflict your souls. The rabbis interpreted, do symbolic acts to create a mood in you. That is done, for example, in fasting. It is to create that sense of taking inside oneself regret, pain, the horror, revulsion of what may have been done, whether knowingly or unknowingly. Right? Very few of us choose intentionally to hurt people. But we find ourselves hurting people even when we try to do good, right? So we're trying to cleanse it. This is what, again, going to Freudian's catharsis. Catharsis, and he picked a word that was a Greek word, purification, which would be a Greek translation for ahara, purification in psychoanalysis, right? I'm playing my amateur Freudian. Where are my Freudians? What's his name? Joel Liffert was going to join us. Okay. Where's my...
So
okay.
Rabbi, what we're saying is we're fated to do certain things. And so whatever the act, it is in recognition of our behavior after and how we respond to that behavior that we whether it be through this catharsis, purification, atonement, or whatever it is, or just sort of without conscience going along. Oh well, is that what the difference is?
Yeah, well, it's what a psychiatrist would say is there are things in your past that are sitting on you,
right?
And you're not responsible for it. Maybe you didn't choose to do it, but it's sitting on you. So you have to do things to remove it. So the psychotherapeutic approach is you talk it out. Today, that's the psychotherapeutic approach. More contemporary approaches, you take pills, medications, you medicate it out. Some cases, that's the only choice. Not always, but in some cases. Right? But, and again, clinical psychology would debate whether Freud really was on board with this or not. But certainly we have it as a good metaphor for what happens for us. And he was trying to talk about metaphors, not necessarily the actual medical process in the brain, but trying to give it an expression. So now we have gotten here, what the Torah has done is trying to take us from a magical act to shift to a spiritual act. And then, so we're trying to create what we may call an act of adulthood, maturity. That's what begins to distinguish this from other pagan cults. And now, if you follow the reading afterwards, what we don't read on Yom Kippur, because it continues, is eliminating all things that have to do with the pagan cult. Very interestingly. We still have the sacrifice, the goat to Azazel, and then it goes on in the very next chapter to forbid us to sacrifice to Seir. The goat is called Seir LaAzazel. And the next verses say we may never again sacrifice to the Seirim. Seirim, the goat demons, right? Those are the demons of our anxieties, right? You look in Greek mythology, the little goat demons, they're hairy-legged things with goat's feet and goat's horns, right? They represent all of the drives that are in us that drive us crazy. We may not sacrifice to them, right? We may not ingest the blood as a source of life, follows up. And then we don't run around, have sex with whoever we want. We discipline ourselves, right? These are things that are associated very clearly with the Egyptian and Canaanite cults. We're separating ourselves from pagan ritual because these actions that are recorded are the actions, the Edesha, the act of the temple prostitute, male prostitute, female prostitute. We're moving ourselves away from it. Now we go into, wait a minute, separating from the pagan, separating from the drives that drive us crazy, trying to find a solution to it, turning now to the adult, to the mature adult. And the mature adult now behaves differently. That's where you come to Kedoshim. Right now now it begins to follow one after the other. So the whole people of Israel, we have now, as you see, I'm just running up from chapter 19, don't insult the deaf, justice, don't deal basely, no revenge, love your neighbor, right? And so you can see the progression, right? So what we have done as Jews is we've taken what were actions, turned them into vehicles to guide us. So all of the different halachot are designed to guide us as individuals with the idea that we're going to lead to a moral and spiritual level. That's the theory, right? So we always have mitzvot ben adam lemakom, ben adam la'adam, between the human being and between the human being and the Holy One, right? Well, that's why we don't just focus on ethical only. No, we look at the ritual, right? They both work hand in hand to help us mature as adults. That is what we're looking at. Now, we could say, why don't we just skip the ritual? Why don't we just go straight to the ethical? And that is where Jews and Christians split, right? This is where we stand distinct from Christianity, because on the ethical part, we really don't have any problem. It is a question of how do we achieve it? How do we get to it? So Paul, and I'm just pulling up from, it's in Galatians, it's one of the writings that we have in the Christian scriptures, talks about Jews, because Jews work under the law, the Torah. All who rely on the works of the law are under a curse. Why? Because curse is everyone who doesn't continue to do what's written. In other words, if you are following the law, you're going to be cursed because you're not able to do everything. It doesn't. It says, right? Justification comes from faith and not from the law, right? It is only, and so for Paul and the followers, Jesus died, represents the ultimate sacrifice. Everything is forgiven. Once you accept that, you'll never worry about sin again. But then all of Christianity deals with then, well, what do we do about sin? Because it is still bound to a moral tradition. And so it tries to resolve that. But this is the big jump. That's why Christianity dropped halakha, which Jesus never denied, but Christianity dropped it. And for the Jews, we kept the idea of having some kind of sense of laws to guide us and to bind us to God into elevation, and also then that would bind us to our fellow human being, right? Notice here, the two can't split from a Jewish perspective, the ritual from the moral. Can't separate the ritual from the spiritual. Okay, so that is why, as I said, we have these two readings combined. Okay, and with that, now it's 12:30. Let me close out. Let me get back to our screen. And I found a little treat for us, a musical treat. Sterling Cross, Shlomo Cross sometimes joins us. I don't know if he joined us today, but he sent me this one for Keyloheynu, which I think you'll find is a lot of fun. And I'm going to pull it up here. What's the word for sing along?
That was beautiful.
That was wonderful. That was fine.
Different take.
Yeah, that was terrific.
Yeah. Very different take.
David version.
This Cantor Moshe Mendelssohn, he's from Yerushalayim, from Jerusalem. Family is old, an old Jerusalem family. So he grew up, as did all the people in old Jerusalem, with all the different traditions, Hasidic, Ashkenazic, Sephardic, all of them. So, and I believe he's now serving congregation in Acapulco. So he tries to blend in, as I see it, a lot of what he can to his music. Another piece I'm going to try to pull it in later on when we come to it again or all this. So let us go ahead with Keyloheynu. Let's all join in together. We'll wrap up our service. Aleinu l'shabeach l'Adon hakol l'teikru l'aliatzei breshit shelo samikei haratzot v'lo samanu k'mishpachot adama shelo sam chelkeinu kahem v'gar aleinu kechacham onam v'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim lifnei melech melachei amlachim hakadosh baruch hu שעונות השמיים ויוסד הארץ ומשה מקרוב השמיים ממעל ושכינתו זו בגבהם מרמים אלוהינו אין עוד הם ממכנו אפס ולתו ככתוב בתורתו היום והשבתה אל לבבך כי אדוני
Okay, Rabbi, it's too fast. It's too fast. Back to the world. To the world. ונאמר כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד.
O Shema echad. So we come to towards the end of our service. We want to take this time to recall those who passed away this year, Agatha Satmari and Francis Mandel. And those whose yahrzeits are recalled this year, passed away this season, in previous years, Sonia Scher and Zetz Braina. May their memories be for a blessing. May their souls bound up in the bond of eternal life. Rise for the Kaddish. I have it here for you. It is the text of the Kaddish Rabbanan, so I'll just merely skip the middle passage, which is for the morning, and we'll chant from here. Yitkadal, V'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah, V'yamad Dibrach Yirutei, V'yamlif Malchutei, V'chaychon, V'yamechon, V'chayei L'chol Beit Yisrael, Ba'galar V'zman Karim V'imru Amen, Yehei Shemei Rabbah Mevorach, V'olam U'me'amaya, Yibarach, V'yishtabach, V'yifa'ar, V'yishama, V'yitnaseh, V'yitadar, V'yitnaleh, V'yitnalam, Shemei D'Kosha B'rifu, Le'ela Min Kol Birchata V'shirata, Tush B'chata V'nechebata, Damyam B'yama V'imru Amen. Skip down, Yehei Shlomo Rabba Min Shemaya, hold on, sorry. Yehei Shlomo Rabba Min Shemaya B'chaim Aleinu B'koiseh V'ramein Oseh Shalom B'imromav V'yaseh Shalom Aleinu B'koiseh V'imru. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. And now we come to Adon Olam. Cantor, Boudaie, I want to thank you very much for joining us this Shabbat. It was a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
That's it. And now here's the theory. We're going to conclude with Adon Olam. I have a a nice medley for you with a bunch of cantors joining in. But after that, I want to try to see if we can create a social hour. So, Yanni, are you there?
Yes.
Can I ask you if I give you the host control and just take it from there? Everybody can schmooze and chat a little bit. I don't know if you have any games. Give us some time and we'll come up with some real games. So we can have our Jeopardy or whatever we want to do afterwards also, because it was a great bonding session for everybody.
Carmen is traditionally in control of After Shabbat and Jeopardy. Where'd she go?
I'm right here. I'm listening.
You want me to get, Carmen, you want me to give you the control, the host control?
I'm actually, well, I would rather wait until next week because I'm putting together a couple of games for next week.
Oh, good. So, Yanni,
I would like everybody, if they could, may I take a minute here, if they could send me some Jewish trivia questions and answers of categories about Israel, like contemporary Israel or famous Jews or famous Israelis. I'm putting together a whole Jewish catalog for a Jewish, a full Jewish Jeopardy. So I've got quite a bit. I've got quite a bit online, but there are other questions that people can think of to throw out, to send to me. I'd appreciate it.
Okay. Now, the rules of the game are that nobody may look at their smartphones when the question comes up to cheat and Google the answer.
Oh, don't worry. I've already got that. I've got that covered. Yeah. You get 5 seconds, so you don't have time to look it up.
All right. You're not going to do a lifeline where I can call somebody and.
No, I know you've got 5 seconds. The game, the thing has pins, and it's literally everybody can see what's going on. So I've got all that. I'm doing it in the Jeopardy lab. So I'm building it in the Jeopardy lab. So.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's great.
All right.
You knock on a table or?
No, actually, you will have your own way of blocking everybody out if you have the answer.
Oh, cool.
That's why everybody needs to have an ability to get on the actual game itself, because it's going to be in Zoom, but you'll be able to do it there.
Oh, cool.
So this way, there's no arguments as to I got in there first. Or
there's no arguments. It's whatever you say.
That's half the fun of it. That's half the fun of our games, actually. So yeah. But we'll have Jeopardy, and we'll also have a game of Taboo.
Okay. Here we go.
Game of no.
But you know something, Rama? I think I like that one of calling a lifeline among the people there.
Okay.
I play some friends and I we get together to have games night. So boom. So yeah.
Okay, so we're going to do the Bethel version of Slumdog Millionaire. All right.
Right.
Adon Olam. Let's all join in this version here.
I love this.
Cantors chant. It's a medley of melodies that you're familiar with.
You're supposed to go back to his seat, but he likes it too much.
Wait a minute. Say that again.
Not one woman.
Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol, Yetzir Nivra, Le'et Nasa,
Now, for those of you who want to have more women in the vocal, the two opening songs are both led by women. So, and last week the Adon was done by a woman. So I'm trying to blend in everybody. Don't want anybody to feel left out.
I haven't seen no woman here in this Magdosh Chazan.
Yeah, I know. Go complain to the synagogue. What can I tell you?
Talking about chauvinism.
Yeah, let's go complain.
As far as I know, women cantors are also physicians, and sometimes they're busy doing stuff. But that's what my friend Nancy.
Okay, so do you guys want to hang on and chat after this? I can leave this. I can leave the hosting.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Okay,
That's the way to do
So thank you, everybody.
And you know how to turn make host. Okay, so
thank you.
Yoni's in charge. Oh, let me stop recording here.